I am our first speaker, and I didn't want this to be a commercial for TAB, and I hope it doesn't come off like that. But the title of my topic is Possibilities for Business Owners. So it's not just for TAB members, but for anybody who owns a business to see what's out there, because as a fellow business owner, it's easy to get stuck in the weeds and you can't come up for air and you don't know what's available to you. So before I go into that, our mission here in TAB Pittsburgh, and just so you know, TAB is a franchise. I now own the Pittsburgh Metro franchise. But our local mission is pretty simple. It's just to provide value to business owners. This is going to sound a little kumbaya-ish, but I think our mission is pretty noble. If we can help business owners achieve their goals and their management teams achieve their goals, that will hopefully mean growth, which will add jobs, which is good for the community. It's that simple. So it's easy for me to get fired up about that. What we do in our vernacular is peer advisory. So we bring business owners together, and we talk about the 5 buckets of business. And this is Glenn Flickinger's, the former owner of TAB. He put it this way in a meeting once. I'm like, wow, that puts it succinctly. So when you run any business, whether you're IBM or Joe's Bakery down the street, you have to worry about these things. And you have to worry about them simultaneously often. So what we do is we bring business owners together to be able to talk about these issues and get answers. A little bit of history of TAB. TAB's been around for 30 plus years. We're headquartered in Denver. We have, as I mentioned, Glenn started this in 2007. We would not be here if it wasn't for Glenn. His first, Glenn, you had 18 members, correct? To start, right? The vast majority of the members here are here because of Glenn. I want to acknowledge him. I purchased it from Glenn almost 3 years ago. It's one of the best things I ever did. Just so you know, I was a TAB member. You're going to hear from my wife, Dr. Lauren Loya. She is the owner of the Hormone Center. So I joined TAB almost 10 years ago as a member. Then I became a coach, and then I'm now the owner. So one of the things when I got involved in TAB and when I purchased TAB was trying to expand how we look at businesses. And really, if you look at it from a cradle to grave mentality, cradle being the inception of the business, grave being, not that they go out of business, grave is that they sell or they pass it on to their children or et cetera. Let's assume for argument's sake that that's a 30-year process, 30-year cycle. The needs of the business change throughout that cycle. So for example, when you first start a business, for those of you who have started a business from scratch, the first 3 years, the first 5 years, it's all about revenue because you have none and you're trying to pay bills and you're taking every single client, no matter if you like them or not or how big or how small, because you are just, you need to make it rain. Right around 5 to 10, you have employees now. Maybe you have 5, 10, 15 employees, et cetera. And now you're in another whole other ballgame. You're in the human resources game. You're managing people. The current environment, which Bob Florak is going to talk about in a little bit, it's just a very challenging time to be an employer and trying to hire people. But this is when you're starting to deal with the good parts and the bad parts of having employees. Now you're growing. Right around here is when a critical decision needs to be made by that owner. Am I going to just stay at my current size because I can manage 15 people or so, or am I going to start looking to scale? And the reason this is so critical, and there's nothing wrong with just staying the same size or scaling it, the issue is the only way you're going to scale is to develop leaders in your organization. And I don't mean managers, I mean leaders, visionaries, and it's hard. Hard to find, they can frustrate you, they can leave your organization, but this is typically the time period. Then right around here, hopefully you found some and you're growing, and right around here, you're looking to how am I going to get out? How can I get my business ready to transition? So if we look at a business from that standpoint, we started looking at what programs do we have now and which ones do we need to add to address all of the issues on that timeline. So we created a marketing training program. We created a management and leadership training. We haven't talked much, you actually have a brochure on there, but a leadership checkup for owners of companies. Our newest board is the entrepreneurial board for emerging companies. This has not yet happened yet, but it will be in the fall. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, StratPro and Tab Connects. Let me just go through these very, very quickly. All of these programs were created because of you. And what I mean by that is, you didn't come out and tell us, hey, why don't you invent a sales training program? We heard the issues. And one of the issues is this. The fact that only 3% of the population are natural salespeople is a challenge. So we created a program from scratch. This is not Tab Corporate, by the way, this is Tab Pittsburgh, to address that problem. I'm of the opinion that we're gonna have to grow our own salespeople. They're hard to find, and even if you can find one, they're very expensive. The management training program. Most small and medium-sized companies do not have management training. So this is not an executive leadership program per se. This is someone who is as an owner, is showing you some talent, some ambition. Maybe they're a leader. One of our boards, we have 9 boards here. One of our boards is for the heir apparent, so to speak, someone who is showing you something. We call it the key executive board. And it's always neat to see somebody go from the key executive board where they transition, they buy out the owner, and now they move on to a full, mature Tab board, if you will. This is our newest program. It answers this question. Am I a good leader? It's hard to know, right? And who gets to say? So our approach is to ask your employees. They're gonna be the best ones who tell you. And we go in and do anonymous interviews with them. They give you a summary report. And we've done this ad hoc for some of our members. And the summary report is something that the owners sometimes are shocked by, good and bad. But your employees will tell you whether you're a good leader or not. Our newest board, the entrepreneurial board. And this is for people that are solopreneurs or maybe a few employees, generally under 3 years in business or so. We have some of them here, and I'll acknowledge them. A little bit different offering, so we don't meet every month, but 6 coaching sessions, 6 board meetings. And I'd actually, well, I'll get to that in 1 second. This is a new initiative where, one of the things that we recognize is that we don't have as many female business owners in Tab as I would like. So we are looking to expand that. But before we do that, we want to understand some of the issues that our women-owned businesses are facing. Board mashup. This could go horribly wrong. And if it does, we'll only do it once, okay? In the fall, that's what we're looking for, or that's a timeline, is to keep things fresh. We will have 1 month where the board meetings will be mashed up, essentially. So we're going to bring people from different boards, regardless of company size. Obviously, we won't do competing industries if there are any. Just for fun, to see how this goes. And it'll replace your board meeting for that month. We're looking to do that in the fall as well. If it goes well, we can do it more often. But like I said, if it goes horribly wrong, we'll stop it. But again, it's our attempt to try to get different perspectives to your meetings. StratPro, we have not really talked about this program. This is a Tab Corporate program. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do, for some of you that are familiar with EOS, a competitor to this is Tab's answer to EOS. So the problem is simply this. The owner comes to Tab meetings, has initiatives laid out, and they know what their plan is. We have found that oftentimes something gets lost in the translation, meaning the executive team isn't on board. And they're not on board because they don't agree, or maybe the owner didn't tell them, et cetera. So this is a way to get the executive team, the management team in that organization to all row in the same direction. It is facilitated. Many of you have done strategic plans, whether it's through our coaches or whether it's through outside parties. As you know, a strategic plan is only as good as whether you execute it or not. And my personal observation is most strategic plans don't get executed. And the reason they don't is because it involves people, other people, your staff. So what we're trying to do is, it's a 6 to 8 month engagement. Come in every month, sometimes twice a month, is to get your team on board with where you want to go. And they are part of the process, and we want to teach them how to fish. This is not a permanent engagement. We want to teach them how to run meetings, how to develop KPIs, how to facilitate strategic planning sessions so that they can do it themselves. Because when you can do that, you really have something. Because the holy grail of business is not, can you, the owner, leave for 6 months and the business runs without you? That's a great threshold to reach. The holy grail is, can you leave for 6 months and the business grows without you? This is an attempt to help with that goal. These are some testimonials about StratPro. Some of these issues might look familiar to you, especially the fifth one. Things are changing in our industry, especially with labor. Anyway, Tab Corporate has had a lot of success with StratPro, and it's getting a lot of traction. So these are some of the things that StratPro helps with. So again, a lot of these will look familiar to you. Where things tend to fall apart is right about here. So we start here, personal vision. Tab members know we take you through these issues. It's from here that things can start falling down. So StratPro is a good tool available to you. So there are approximately 240 franchisees around the world. Through Glenn's efforts, I will take no credit, Tab Pittsburgh is in the top 12. And the reason I bring this up, we call it top tier. It is not sponsored by Tab Corporate. It is a member-driven club, if you will. So I brought this up because I have access, because I am now in that top tier. I have access to the other top 11 franchises around the world to see what they're doing so that we can bring ideas back to you. Tab Connect. Some of you may be part of this already. Some of you may, you didn't take advantage of it, but it's still there. So imagine a LinkedIn for Tab members. That's what Tab Connect is. And you can log into your Tab portal, and you can search for members, perhaps in your industry, somewhere else. And you want to talk to them, reach out, what do you see out there? What trends do you see, et cetera. So it is one of the neat things about Tab, and it is an opt-in. So if you haven't opted in yet, then obviously you won't be able to search. But it's a very, very nice tool that many members are starting to use more. And here's a snapshot of it. So if this looks familiar, this is the Tab login. You would go to search, and then you can search by SIC code, city, state, et cetera, and then those members would come up. So just another tool to keep in mind. So I'm a big believer in obviously getting feedback. I say, this is Tab, but this is really about you guys and girls. We just need constant feedback. What can we do better? I've tried to reach out to owners as I'm able to, just to do a survey, if you will, and we've gotten some great ideas. Obviously, the best way to keep things fresh is to continually bring on new members through referrals. With that said, I'd like to recognize some of our new members from the past 12 months. So I'm going to embarrass them. So I'm just going to say your name, and if you could just stand up. So let's start with Ben Meyer. Ben is the owner of Oasis Senior Advisors, very unique business, and please make sure you talk to Ben about his business. Nikki Campbell. Nikki is owner, stand up. Nikki's the owner of the Flourish Group. She does executive health coaching and wellness, strategic wellness plans for corporations. Former McDonald's executive. So, Joe Killian. Joe's the owner of Proviva. Some of you recognize Joe from Tab. So, very great success story. He used to work for the Hormone Center. I personally saw something in him, and now he owns his own company. Phil Haloka. Phil is the owner of a captive insurance agency that's not affiliated, but he is in business essentially with Jeff and Gabby Morella, which many of you know. So, Mike Joyce, where is he? I just saw him. There he is, back there. Mike owns a social media marketing company, one of our newest members. Lance Clark, is Lance here yet? He's not, okay, got it. Dale Dexter, there he is, Dash Lab Services, unique medical device testing service. Chris Doyle, Chris, there you go, owns a former Post-Gazette executive and now owns his own company doing marketing as well, digital marketing. Jada Lehman, Jada, there you go. She owns Expense Reduction Associates. Basically, they come into companies and save you money, and they take a percentage of savings, essentially. So she also has a corporate background. And Craig Martin, is Craig here? I didn't see. Okay, great. So those are some of the newest members. So please welcome them and find out more about what they do. Okay.